Welcome, everyone, to the Vision Untethered podcast and our special edition of Implementer Untethered, featuring EOS implementers who have worked with hundreds of founders and their leadership teams and have the real behind the scenes perspective on what entrepreneurs actually struggle with as they scale. My name is Jill Simonds. My co host today is one of our fabulous CFOs, Megan Dahle, and we are from Savvy Strategic Partners, a value generation firm with fractional embedded executives helping founder led businesses scale confidently. And our incredible guest today is Rachel Downey, EOS implementer who works with entrepreneurial leadership teams to help them gain clarity, strengthen accountability, and create healthier, more aligned organizations. Through her facilitation, coaching, and practical business guidance, Rachel helps leaders navigate the challenges that come with growth and with scaling. And her approach focuses on creating traction, improving the team dynamics, and helping CEOs lead with greater clarity and intention. Rachel, thank you so much for being our guest today. We are thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Jill. I'm excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, likewise. I'll kick us off with kind of a hard truth that founders eventually have to face about themselves. What is a truth that CEOs, visionaries that you work with have to face about themselves as leaders as you're diving in and working with them?
Yeah, I'd say the most common pattern I see for founders is that they have a hard time getting out of their own way. And this shows up primarily in two directions. I think first, some founders overestimate themselves. They believe they are the secret ingredient and that nobody can do it quite like they can. And they hold on, they
Hmm.
hover, they insert
Yeah.
themselves into decisions their team is fully capable of making. And it's kind of like the ego at play there.
Mm,
But the opposite side of that spectrum, I think, is also true, and I see quite often, which is founders who underestimate what is possible when they have a great team around them.
mm,
And they've built something real, but they can't see it quite yet because they don't have the right people or they don't have a strong operating system. And they can actually go much further than what they're dreaming and seeing right now if
hmm.
they could let go. And I think at the core, what every founder wants, if you take away all the issues and challenges of everyday business life, is they just want freedom. I'm a founder
Yeah.
myself. It's I think why we
Hmm.
start companies is we think not only can we make an impact in the world, but it will offer us some freedom to make the choices of how we want to lead our lives.
Hmm.
And then, of course, we get down the road and find out that we're doing everything.
Yeah,
And
the exact opposite of freedom happening.
ex-
Yeah.
exactly. And so it's a dance. It's a dance on how to both let go, but also retain the things that really matter that are unique to that particular founder.
Mm, yeah.
Rachel, can I ask, is there like a moment that you recognize that you notice that you know like they're on the cusp and it's like they're ready to make that change or have that acknowledgement?
Hmm.
Yeah, it looks like frustration. And I think that the frustration will first appear as frustration with the people around you, but it's really an opportunity to look inward and see where you're maybe not making some of the hard choices you need to and getting the
Hmm.
business into a position where it can thrive without your day-to-day insertion. And so just like this, the story arc of that is early on we as founders, especially visionary founders, have to be scrappy. We have to make all
Hmm.
the calls. We have to do all the jobs. We have to figure it out faster than anybody else can because we're in startup and survival mode. But at scale, I think those same skills actually create a ceiling. And
Hmm.
they feel really stuck and they're like, why are the things that I used to do not working anymore? So I've sat with teams that have built like really large teams around them. Founders have these large teams, and these are
Hmm.
talented and hardworking people. But in some cases, the founder is still sitting alone in terms of holding the strategic vision in every meaningful decision. And
Mm.
it's a lot of weight to carry, especially as the organization gets larger. And I think it's not a trust problem. It's actually a capability gap, looking around and saying,
Mm.
did we give these leaders around me the conditions to start thinking at the same level that you might as that founder leader? Um,
Mhm.
Mm.
and so thinking about how do you invite people into the room and give them the skills, the tools, and the expectations of what it looks like to rise to that occasion.
Right. It
Yeah.
requires too a different level and version of ourselves. Like sitting in that role as well. It's like the question you mentioned that, they wrestle with being, why isn't what worked before working now?
Mhm.
It requires and demands a different level and elevation of how we work, how we engage, where we trust. And I think that frustration point, I think what a lot of visionaries don't realize is how much is still going to be required of them to develop that outside of themselves, and how
Yes.
much of that messy middle that they're going to have to navigate through an evolution of, well, I don't do these things anymore. I am no longer responsible because we're at this ceiling, right? So another level of me, another level of capability and competency among the team requires actually quite a bit from me through this stage. So they're either way too quick to let go and things just fall apart and they have to swoop back in, or they just hold on to it too long because they're not realizing at that point what's demanded of them is to systematize and structure and get the business out of their head and their method and way,
Yep.
to enable their team to actually be successful and to own it. So
hmm
yeah,
And
that's
that's the
huge.
dance. That is the
Yeah,
dance.
yeah.
And part of it is, you realize I can't do it all. I have to hand something off to someone, and then they drop it. And then you try again
Mhm.
and they drop it again. And
Yeah.
so I think that as founders, we build that scar tissue and that fear that no one else can
Hmm.
get it. If I hand it off, it's going to fall to the floor.
Yeah.
But we have to keep trying. We have to find the right people and then give them those conditions for success,
Hmm.
while also in the background building up a new set of skills to run a different kind of business that has more leaders, more layers, more structure, more processes. And it's not necessarily the visionary's happy place to live in structure and processes.
Hmm.
Um, but guess what? I don't believe structure and processes are for the founder or visionary.
Right.
It's for the people all around them that
Hmm.
want to be successful, to want to help achieve that vision, but need some kind of format in which to thrive. And so
Exactly.
that little dance between letting go and also developing yourself into the leader of the next iteration that your business needs.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like that
Um,
picture of the
so
dance.
it,
That's
it
good.
is, it's a little dance. We go this way, we go that way.
Exactly. None of it's linear, that's for sure.
No, it isn't. But it's absolutely possible, and it's what I love about EOS because uh it's simple in construct, it's accessible, you can get your arms around it. It doesn't feel
Hmm.
threatening in any way. It's really easy
Hmm.
to understand the elements of the system, how they work together, and how they're going to help you achieve your vision. Um, but
Yeah.
that small bit of resistance about like what does structure mean and how does someone really creative or strategic or ambitious live within that structure?
Mhm.
The fear doesn't need to be there because the reality is it's for all those other people that um, they're not founders for a reason. They thrive within something a little more organized.
Hmm.
Okay.
What do you typically say to that visionary and CEO that wants to be a part of perfecting all of those little pieces as well, knowing this really isn't here to serve me, it's to serve the team?
hmm
What are some, because that, yeah. I'm like, we've got some, yeah, scenarios of that happening sometimes. So asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. So are you asking like when do they really become the bottleneck and instead of like
Yeah, or when they are that way with the bottleneck piece of it, is it truly just a matter of like, hey, this doesn't need to read perfectly and be, polished and make sense in a
mm,
way for you as if you're the one going to execute this process or this piece of the business.
oh yeah.
But they want to hold it, perfect it. They're constantly a part of
Yeah.
defining what that, and you get stuck in definition mode. You're just stuck in constantly defining and perfecting the documentation and the iterations of that, as opposed to like, let's do the thing now and execute it. We can't even deploy it because they're the bottleneck in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, isn't perfection the enemy of progress, right? Uh,
so
so
true.
so
Hmm.
here's a scenario I see really often. I I have a team in the room and they're doing something like setting rocks. And it is a founder's responsibility to have that bigger picture vision and to carry that, to live that, to preach it, to celebrate it all the time. And
Hmm.
when we're setting rocks in the room,
Yeah.
that founder is probably going to have some idea of what the finish line for that rock looks like. So I'm always asking the team, what does done look like? What's it look like when we get to that finish line? And then I say the phrase that kills them, which is, and now it is the team members' responsibility to figure out the how. How are they
Hmm.
going to get to that finish line? And you can just see the cringe because we love the how. We care about the how. We think we can do the how better than anybody else, but that's not really building the capability and the leadership muscles and the
Hmm.
execution skills that everybody else needs around you so that they
Right.
can take the reins on these projects and leave you to be and continue to contribute where your best and highest use is at as a founder.
Hmm.
And so it's that scary moment that I see over and over again when they have to let go of the how. And that
Yeah.
means not only on rocks, but they have to figure out how to make decisions within their realm of accountability. They have to figure out how to direct their people and manage them and lead them. They have to figure out how to expand their department and work collaboratively with others without the interference of that visionary, which is both
Hmm.
terrifying, but
Right.
truly the only path to freedom is
Hmm.
to let go. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that letting go piece is,
Yeah, that's
you've heard
huge.
of letting go of the vine, right? You
Hmm.
gotta let
Yeah.
go of the vine and trust that someone is behind you to catch you.
Hmm.
And uh, you know, we've got to run experiments. What do I let
Hmm.
go of? Can this person catch it? And then can I allow them to do it in their own way? Can I allow them to make a bad decision? That I don't particularly like. Not a catastrophic decision, but we just can't have everything the way we want it exactly.
Hmm.
I'll share this because I think this is how I ran my experiments. I actually ran a series of experiments in my business where I would leave the office for extended amounts of time.
Hmm.
I went on a 16-day mission trip to Guatemala, and then a few years later, I did
Hmm.
a 30-day cross-country road trip with my family, and
Yeah.
didn't call in. And I wanted to see, where does my team thrive?
Hmm.
Where do things break? And where do they
Right.
plateau without me?
Hmm.
And that was really great information. I learned a lot. And the
Hmm.
plateau was kind of the scariest because a plateau and living in mediocrity is actually just a signal that you're dying.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so I had to see what I can do to build their competence, their capabilities, their decision making,
Yeah.
competency, and be able to continue to let go further and further so that ultimately I could exit my business and know it was in great hands.
Yeah. That's such a vital experiment. Otherwise, yeah, I think when we're there to save it, and don't actually make that intentional time, we don't really know, we're not as cognizant and aware of where those gaps are that we
Mm-hmm.
tend to fill more and how to move ourselves further upstream to solve for that first. So,
Yeah. And being
yeah.
a savior or a hero or the rescuer in your own business, I mean, it
Hmm.
feels good because, we have the answers most of the
Sure.
time, and um, we get a dopamine hit. It's
Hmm.
honestly a drug to have the answers and to be able
Hmm.
to solve the problem. And in the
Totally.
moment, it's also very efficient. But in the long term, it's disastrous because you're not building that capability all around you. And you become that single point of failure. Something happens to you as the founder. If your team isn't ready and your
Yeah,
structure is not in place, it can be catastrophic.
it
Not
sure
fun.
can. Yeah, fun stuff. Addicted to the chaos. Yeah, it's a
Addicted to the
drug.
chaos. Yes.
And how great to finally discover that your team's got it, right? I mean,
Mm,
that's the upside over there too.
Yeah.
hmm.
Well, for me, seeing all these, taking these experiments, seeing what worked and didn't work and where things stalled, was the catalyst for me to turn to EOS. And
Mm,
so I implemented it in my own business, which not only helped close some of the gaps I was feeling I couldn't fix. It was like banging my head against the wall. Like, why can't I fix this little thing? It's driving me nuts. It closed those
mhm,
gaps. It did build their confidence. It gave them clarity of vision and direction. And the coolest part was I was spending my time doing my own work on me and
mhm,
figuring out what was the next step in my personal journey. And
mhm,
so not only was I feeling more and more confident I could leave the company in good hands, but I was feeling more and more confident in my own path forward. And I
mhm.
think that's the very definition of freedom, allowing founders to be able to, contribute at the company at a really strategic or R&D kind of level, like to
Mhm.
tinker, to play, to envision, to drive
Yeah.
growth, or to go start their next venture, or to go
Mhm.
spend time in their community or with their families. And if that's the definition they're seeking, then the way to get there is to build all of that
Yeah,
around you and build your leadership team. And
absolutely.
it's a process. It's okay. But
Hmm.
when you get there, it's the most liberating feeling.
It sure is. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
call out for working on self too, because I
Working
think
on self.
a lot of business owners won't get there because they lose their identity with whatever they strip of, this thing that they've created that is all tied up in who they are. Their identity is their business and who they are in that business. And
Hmm.
without that, they're like, well, now, like, what do I do? What is my purpose? Who am I without this? And
Hmm.
a lot of them don't get there because of that.
I think that's
Ah.
exactly why they re-enter.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of
Mm-hmm.
the several reasons, but part of the re-entering is that you start to feel that loss of your own identity and who am I without this thing I've built? So I think the leaders who are the most successful are the ones that are also concurrently doing that inner work and
Mm-hmm.
discovering who they are without the identity of that business.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
huge. That's huge. Well, should we
Plus,
start our
I want
lightning
to add
round?
something. Can
Oh,
I add
no, go
something,
ahead.
Rachel?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Please
want
do.
to say this is from my own experience. Um, when I started to have a vision that was more compelling than the decision in front of me, it made it so much easier to let go
Mm,
because I was like, I could constantly go, is meddling worth it? Is meddling worth it? Is it worth getting sucked back in when I know I have something really exciting down the line for myself?
mm-hmm.
And so I'd encourage all leaders to try
Yeah.
to get to that point.
Oh, I
And I
love
love
that.
that your show is called Untethered because I think that's exactly it. Like
Mm-hmm.
untethered isn't like being unmoored or like adrift. It's
Right.
being able to achieve that freedom that was the reason we
Mm-hmm.
probably started this crazy thing called entrepreneurship in the first place.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. So well put. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I love the name of
Wow.
your show. It's perfect.
Oh, thank you. Well, it did come from the untethered soul, and it's like similar
Mhm.
concept. Like the
Yeah.
more of knowing, so within our self-conscious, our conscious, and having consciousness, and who we are as self, and the more work we put in at that level, regardless of what stage of business you're in,
Hmm.
just elevates you to that level of focusing on clarity and vision and that higher viewpoint. It affects, yeah, everything. It affects where we spend our time and our energy and what we give our energy to or not. Yeah, so that is the concept of it for sure.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, we have a couple minutes here, and we can do a lightning round. Megan, do you want to take the lightning round
Yeah, I
question?
think,
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah, especially because we kind of touched on this topic. So, first thing, how long does it take for leadership team to actually start running EOS well?
I love this. Well, every team is a snowflake, of course. But generally speaking, most teams can get to a really powerful place in about 24 to 30 months.
Mhm.
Some teams are faster, some teams are slower, and it's always their journey to take. So it's not for me to rush them.
Mhm.
But I have seen teams that come into their first or second quarterly, which is only about 6 months into their journey. And they look at me at the end of the day and they're like, hey, did we do this right? It wasn't hard. I'm like, exactly.
Exhale. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's good.
Okay. Next one.
Yeah.
It's what's the most common seat that founders struggle to let go of? Like sales, visionary, integrator, marketing.
It always depends on where they came from. So
Mhm.
some of my founder visionaries still really want to be involved in their brand and their reputation and all things marketing.
Mhm.
Some can't let go of sales because they love it and they just light up when they get to close the deal. But I think
Hmm.
by and you know by far they have a hard time believing that they don't have to also be the integrator. Um,
Hmm.
and if I could just seriously sit down with every visionary founder and give them this plea, I would do it. And the plea is, I want you to have a business that serves your life, not a life that serves your business.
Hmm.
And please, please, please do anything it takes to let go of the vine and find someone who is just incredible at execution, loves the day to day, that thrives in managing people, and that sees and believes in your vision and wants to make every bit of it come true so that
Hmm.
you can come step back and do what you do best and trust that your vision will be achieved because you're not trying to do it by yourself.
Mm.
Um, I really, really want that for every founder. It's a hard journey. I have so much
Hmm.
compassion and so much admiration for who they are and what they do. I mean, to go out and take the risk and
Hmm.
want to make this impact in the world and be brave enough to go and get that going. Like it's awesome. But please, please, please step,
Hmm.
let somebody else take the reins and let them do what they do best because the two of you couldn't be built more differently. Visionaries and integrators, completely
Yep.
different cloth we're coming from. We got we
Totally.
got wool and satin over here. So
Totally.
so please find your counterpart.
Exactly. Yeah. That is the challenge right there because that seat, they've had to play that role plus, the other roles within it and that integration across all three things. So, yeah, it's massive. Well,
Hmm.
Rachel, thank you so much for your insight, your wisdom, the impact you're making in so many people's lives and teams. And if people want to find you or learn more about you and the impact that they can make with working with you, where's the best place to find you?
Reach out to me directly. My email is Rachel, Rachel, dot Downey, Downey, at eosworldwide.com. So I would love to hear from anybody listening. And we live I'm 100% on board with our core value of help first. So if all you want is a
Mhm.
little conversation, ask some questions or some issues to be solved, I'm always here to help.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you
you
for
being
having me.
here.
This was
Yeah,
really fun.
it
Great to chat
was.
with both of you.
Yes,
Good.
you as well.
Likewise. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.